I'm shameless. Nothing can shame me. I love myself. I've been body shamed a lot because I've always been a big girl. I've been judged a lot for various things. People are more conscious about, for example, the portrayal of women. What's interesting to me as an actor is that now women are being seen as human beings, as people.
Hi everyone, welcome to Hauterrfly. This is Sheena, and today I'm in conversation with very strong, independent, incredible, and powerful women. Welcome all of you to Hauterrfly. It's a pleasure to be talking to you today.
Thank you.
I want to start by quoting some things that we've been hearing, which is that, men and women are told this. Women are told that whenever some male member of their family passes away or is not feeling well or something, is on the bed or something, they're told कि अब time है तू मर्द बन जा घर का. And men are told कि तूने हाथों में क्या चूड़ियां पहन रखी हैं जो तू नहीं कर सकता है, मेहंदी लगाई है हाथों में जो ये काम नहीं कर सकता है, और लड़कियों की तरह रोना बंद कर दे. So do you think that this kind of mentality and this kind of perspective has actually changed in our society, or you think we are moving towards the change? I want to know each one of your opinion on this.
I don't know if it's changed, but I definitely think there is more awareness about the wrongness of it. These conversations are still, I think, restricted to a small part of the population. Most probably, I think, in the urban families, I would think. But thanks to, I think, the mobile phone making the entire world accessible to you today, the remotest corners of the country are also privy to these conversations. So hopefully that change will begin happening there. But I think the conversation has started, and that's most important, because awareness of the wrongness of it is the first step towards change.
I want to get a bit of Bollywood perspective also, because you've been a game changer. You've completely changed the entire dimension of how women were looked at in the industry. What do you think in terms of the industry, in terms of Bollywood? How much of change can you see there?
The change that you see in society is a change that gets reflected in Hindi cinema also, whether on screen or off screen. The proof of that change is in the fact that there are more female-centric films now being made, being consumed, and the more successful these films are, the more it'll just not remain a trend, and it'll be something that's here to stay. There's definitely change, and people are more conscious about, for example, the portrayal of women. I think what's interesting to me as an actor is that now women are being seen as human beings, as people, and not just as women. And that's a huge, huge change.
The community that I am from, that is like, it's a male-dominated sport, and there are always people saying girls can't drive. Well, there is this one thing that I want to say. If females can handle household, if females can handle men, driving cars is a no big deal for them. It's just a car, it's just a vehicle. I totally believe that, we can do everything possible, and I have seen a change, at least with the people around me, and at least in motorsports, which is a male-dominated sport.
I feel like there is a progress towards change in the positive light, in terms of, yes, let's say, for example, there is conversation, which is great. I feel like now there are, because you asked the question about men, right? There are men who know and who have agency over what they choose and what they can do, which is great. Again, because of social media, because of whatever it is, right? Because now they have more exposure. It's just not one dimension. Of course, there will be those few people who will have and think in their stereotypical way. But I feel like more than anything, it is for the young ones. Yes, there is change, all of that. And I feel like it is our responsibility also to ensure that the change also happens with our parents and our grandparents or things like that.
I think change in general comes from the self also. When to start with society, I'd first say I do see a change in myself. I mean, I think in school or college, I may have said, don't be a bitch, or don't be, we all have said it in running language. And now when you think about it and you're like, nah. So I think having that dialogue constantly and realizing that there has to be some amount of compassion in that dialogue you have, because the moment that whole blame game starts, we know by now that men are pretty sensitive. They get affected, and they're just and so constantly having that dialogue. I of course live in a bubble, which is we don't truly know how much change has happened in the entirety of India. or in the world, but I do see change amongst like, you know, the people close to me, or like even my own parents or my grandparents. They'll call it woke and whatnot and tease it.
What you said about तुम लड़के हो चूड़ियां क्यों पहन रहे हो types, I've received that. So I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, as a child, for a trans woman, gender roles become apparent very early because that's your first experience of, wait, that's not who I am. And you know, when that started happening more and more, and you grow up, you hit puberty, and then you go to high school and all of that, you sort of realize how deeply entrenched in society patriarchy really is, and how gender roles affect everybody. The same thing that prevents a woman from becoming successful is the same thing that prevents a man from crying. That's just how patriarchy functions. It places a certain ideal above the rest. Things do change, you're right, but you know, change trickles down very slowly. And of course, it happens, I've seen it happen around me in the hospital and otherwise. It happens every day. You know, you're seen as a nurse. Of course, nurses are absolutely essential in our healthcare system. But somehow the fact that I'm a doctor is just not taken seriously. Oh, you're too pretty to be a doctor, you know? These attitudes do exist even amongst, say, educated people, even in urban circles. And it's happening, but it's happening slowly. And that said, everybody here and so many thousands of women out there and people of all genders sort of, you know, pushing that change, and it'll happen. It's slow, but it'll happen. I'm confident with that.
If you can point out one quality in you that you had to be what you are today and to inspire so many girls out there.
I think I'm shameless. Nothing can shame me. No one can shame me. That's because I love myself. Sitting here today at the age of 42, I'm able to say this to you. It's taken a lot of work. I think I've been body shamed a lot because I've always been a big girl. I've been judged a lot for various things, like we human beings are constantly judging each other, and women get judged that much more. And then as public figure, you're getting judged even more. So I have been, you know, I've faced the brunt of that. But I've realized that, you know, you're not going to be able to change yourself to suit everyone's fancy. And therefore, the only person you need to worry about is you. So that at all times, doesn't matter, you know, 10 people out of 100 like you or 90 people out of 100 like you. One person's like should always be yours. And that's your own.
Absolutely something that a lot of girls would take away from this interview. We are living in this Instagrammable sort of culture where it has become a big thing for us that, oh my God, I'm just getting 1,000 likes today. What is wrong with me? What am I doing to myself? Why didn't I get 10,000 or 20,000 likes and views and whatever? So what is your opinion on that?
There is really no end to wanting more people to like you. Therefore, in wanting to get more views on Instagram or likes on Instagram, I think it's really endless. You put out what you want to put out, right? Like I put out what I want to put out, and I don't check the number of views. I don't check the comments. I wanted to share something that I thought is cool or that I like about myself. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. So be it. I wanted to share it. I've shared it. Because your moods are going to fluctuate. Your self-esteem is going to constantly be in jeopardy. It's one of those days when people don't check Instagram so much, and it has nothing to do with whether, you know, your pictures are good or your post is good. It's just that sometimes the traffic on Instagram is low and you personalize it. And then you begin to think of ways of how to increase the number of likes. And that's what your life becomes about. You're not actually effectively living life. You're only living for validation from other people. And that is, I think, a pointless pursuit.
Something that really helps is practicing radical kindness with yourself. Give yourself a hug at the end of the day and be like, you know, I am trying my very best to exist in a world that doesn't want me here. I'm trying my very best to exist in a very binary world, a very misogynistic world that makes me work twice as hard, thrice as hard, 4 times as hard to be taken seriously by everybody. So you have to practice kindness with yourself and say to yourself, I think, before you sleep every day, you know what? We fight our fights, but we must also allow ourselves to be vulnerable, also allow ourselves to be the people that we are outside of the public eye, and just be kind to yourself first. That's so important.
So, Vidya ma'am, quickly coming to you and asking you about Sherni. That title really suits you, first of all. And when I saw the trailer, at every dialogue delivery, at every expression of yours, I was like, wow, this is just so apt. You had to say that and you had to give that expression. So, if you could tell me and tell us a little more about your role and, what was the sort of takeaway or learning that you had in the movie?
I think Sherni is every woman, or an easier way to say it would be that every woman is Sherni. But the thing is that when you look at Vidya Vincent, the character I'm playing, she doesn't seem like a Sherni, and yet she is a Sherni. There is a Sherni inside of her. She's got great courage of conviction. She will stand up for what she believes in. She uses her voice where it matters, however tough it is for her, because she's a woman of few words. She's very reticent. She's very reserved. She's the kind who doesn't even smile too much. She'd rather be invisible. For someone like that, even she manages to gather the courage to do the right thing because she's a woman of great integrity. It's a very different character from most characters I've played because they've all been obviously strong. But also the fact that, see her, she is batting for those without a voice, for nature, for the animals who are in that sense voiceless. This film has expanded my understanding or the definition of a strong woman for me. For me now, I realize that strength cannot be limited to the more obvious shows of strength.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Hi, this is Vidya Balan. Please like, share, and subscribe to Hauterrfly and keep watching.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.